All right, retake. I guess just gonna move the cars around a little bit. I was gonna have this thing parked over here for a while, but I'm just gonna do a breakdown just for another video because it's just hard to explain everything by pictures or Instagram in general. Just get like a lot of DMs and asking questions, but I'll just make a video and just link it. So let me just pull some cars out and go from here. All right, so pulled some cars out. I have a heater going. Keep it in mind, it's freezing up here, so just don't mind the noise in the back. So here's the 240, or should I call it 380SX. A little bit closer look of the car. It's 1995. It was just a shell. It was obviously missing the engine. All the parts interior had some gauge cluster and whatnot. It did have the 95 to 96, I think, front end Zenki, and then we bought the Kuki front end for the 98 and up, I think. I'm not sure, I could be wrong. But yeah, it looks a lot more aggressive, but obviously the paint is not in the best condition, so is the whole car. It's 20 plus years old car, rusted, rotted somewhere. We did patch up some stuff, but still, like when I was jacking up the car yesterday, I felt, you know, things are just getting rusted. So I guess a lot of people actually missed out on this build. Obviously, it's been sitting all the way in the back on the dollies. About those 19-inch wheels, just recently off of eBay, went to go pick it up, and it was missing valve stems and had to flip some tires here and there. And then now it's on the actually wheels. It does roll back and forth, but the car doesn't run. I mean, we did get to run it at one point, but we did have few builds in between, and customers were missing like gaskets, like throttle body, all that. So we just took it off from this car, and hence why it was just sitting. And also we were just busy last year doing some bigger builds for customers' cars. So this is now our priority. We sometimes see people say like, oh, why don't you finish it, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, this is just a project car that we'll get to it whenever we get a chance. At the end of the day, I have a shop to run, you know, pay bills and whatnot. This doesn't pay me bills. So the whole concept with this 380SX, I went back and watched the video, read some comments and whatnot. There were obviously a lot of positive comments about it. You know, people are excited, but you always get those always hate on whatever when they're not doing anything online on their phone. All they do is just talk anything negative. So that happens, and we just ignore them straight up. But so I just want to kind of break it down what we have done to the car. It's about the car with the shell. Starting from the front, got the BK1 3.8 engine and transmission, and it's actually sitting on the Tiburon motor mounts we modified to fit and welded. It does sit actually a little bit higher than the subframe, so oil pan will not bottom out, the worst case. It didn't fit initially. We had to just cut out a subframe. We could have banged up the oil pan, but obviously we didn't want to tamper with that. It only has like 30 or 40,000 miles on it. This came off of a customer's car that was in the accident, and we just cleaned it up and it looks pretty much brand new, in good condition, but it's just been sitting here for about a year. We might have few little winter builds coming in, but we definitely have time for this car. So my goal for over the winter time is just finish this car. Initially, as you could tell, we did have the manifold all mocked up, and I did mock up for side mount here, turbo, and do the hood exit, whatever. But at the time, we did have a turbo to mock it up and whatnot, and we did end up selling that and was going to buy one more, but it actually took out a bunch of, you know, investment from my bank account. I'm not willing to spend too much money on it on top of what I have already spent. But at the end of the day, I want to finish it, but I'm just going to go straight NA. I think that's more than enough for this car. This shell is so light compared to all the Genesis coupes. Just pushing it, you can feel the difference. So I'm gonna actually take this car out to an event or two, but mainly I wanna just drive it on the street. But this actually has a lot more potential than the Genesis Coupe, just because the car's light, has a lot more power to the weight, and also has a lot more aftermarket support. And you know, used parts are cheap, so it has a lot more potential. Whatever. So the worst case scenario, if the body gets damaged or whatever, I just jump on another shell. It's not an expensive car, though it just has so much drift tax that's the car doesn't actually. So if you think about it, this car is like 20 plus years old, putting the engine. So the question we always get asked, like, why the 3.8 Genesis Coupe? If we did have 2.0 just laying around at the time, I would have put the 2.0 in here. So whatever we had for the Genesis Coupe, we were gonna put it in, and we happened to have 3.8, so we put it in there. Just simple as that. Why not LS, RB, you know, KA turbo, or you know, SR? The engine's newer, and we specialize in these cars, so like tuning is not going to be an issue for me, at least. So just pick this one, and this is just one of a kind. So like it's kind of funny to see when people say like, oh, why put shitty ass Hyundai motor in the Nissan? Like, you can't down on Hyundai engine or hate on the car or the whole build just because we are using the Hyundai motor on the Nissan. Because, you know, who's actually taking advantage? 20-year plus old car all rusted out, or just 5-year-old pretty much brand new engine, a strong newer technology, newer maps on the ECU? Who's actually taking advantage, you know? So like sometimes I go to the track events, and you know, people down on like Hyundai or Korean cars in general, not only I suck, but you know, still they like, oh, he took the Hyundai, blah blah. I hear it, you know. There are only like a little bit of people that just hate on whoever's car, but they just laugh at it because it's Hyundai. But think about it, you know what I mean? Your car is 25 years old. This car is 2011. Mine's actually 2015 out there. So there's nothing wrong with doing something we are actually good at it, if that makes sense. And we're just gonna make it, we're just gonna be the first one to try it out. We have money, time, investment, and skills to do it. Unlike somebody online just gonna criticize everybody about whatever they can't do. So enough of that. That's the build. We're gonna get it done. So I'm gonna make this NA, shade NA. It's gonna have more than enough power to handle this car. So I gotta actually redo the coolant line that's just been bothering me. That looks like crap, I'll be honest with you. And the design was gonna give us issues anyway. So I'll make some changes, try to clear the headers, because the issue was we just really have tight space on each side. We'll get it done. It was such a big waste of time and material to make those side mount turbo, manifold, whatever. But we'll get it done. And just to break down what we have on this car at the moment, it's just some $20 eBay radiator, ISR coilovers, fuel pressure regulator, all AM fitting, made by us. If anybody needs R-Spec seat covers, I have it, looks like. So this is actually one of the things that I did. I shortened out the shifter linkage. Genesis Coupe is a lot bigger than this car. The shifter actually comes up to here. So I had to shorten this thing and just put it at the stock location. Everything shifts in nicely. I shortened out the drive shaft, and we have like a machine shop to make the adapter. So that's just gonna be temporary. It needs to be balanced, but it's just gonna, it's good enough to actually make the car to move and drive, no problem. I welded the differential, and that's a lot more beefed up than the Genesis Coupe I did. Just because it's taking up a lot more power than the stock is meant to be. So that's that. Got the third e-brake set up. And this is actually one of the reasons why the car actually took longer to get on the ground, because there's like a group buy or whatever this place did, and they took forever to ship that thing. As long as the header is done and the exhaust, I think we could fire it back up and tune the car. But there are just many little things that I had to do it again. All the brake lines and cooling, and obviously missing a bunch of stuff interior wise, and have to put the all the aesthetic ones, and had to run all the wires for the headlights and little things like wipers and all that. Stock fuse box is still in there. Aaron did hide all the bigger fuse box and main harnesses inside, so which is actually a lot. It was a really clean work and gave us a lot more rooms. I actually cut only one side because of the turbo, and I was trying to see how much room we had, but now we're not going with the turbo route, but I'm still gonna kind of cut all that and nice and clean, and do some suspension work. The car is ready to go for drift events, and obviously we had to readjust the suspension, different wheels and tire setup and whatnot. So I'm excited. Whenever I get a chance, we'll keep you guys updated, work on it, whatever. Oh yeah, don't forget these emblems. So yeah, here's a breakdown. So it looks like a lot of people actually missed out on this car. Don't blame you. It's just been sitting in the back corner, but something you're gonna see next year, running and drifting.